what a message. What a message. Over this journey on the sacred path, we've leaned into divinity and joy and beauty. And we've leaned into enlightenment, seen the light. But what did the song say? Lean into me and I will do what? Raise you up. That's today. Today we can lean into all the comfort, the joy, the beauty, the wonder, the love of Spirit. But a natural out-picturing of that is that we rise up in consciousness and awareness, and we do we get out in the world as the song of the spiritual warrior. That's what today is all about, the spiritual warrior. And you might look at the people on the wall. Oh my gosh, those are spiritual warriors. And we can sit and we can honor those, but they were just leading the way for us to do the same. We're not here on this earth to sit back and watch. Life is not a spectator sport, although sometimes we try to make it that. We're called to take our gifts and give them out in the world. Now, when I say the term spiritual warrior, kind of let that float around in your mind for a while. What do you see? An angel with a shield and a sword? Or what do you see when you think of a spiritual warrior? Definition of warrior in the dictionary is an experienced or well-trained soldier or fighter. That's a warrior. But a spiritual warrior has a very different call, as Pam was saying. A spiritual warrior takes on the battle of following the darkness into the light. Because I know for myself and for all of us, we want meaning and purpose in our life. And that's what a spiritual warrior does. A spiritual warrior wants to find the meaning of life, and so it's traveling into the darkness to find that light of spirit, of wonder, of truth, of goodness, of all that is, of creative potential, of possibilities, of all that. Following it there and having that courage to do that. And it's amazing when we have the courage to do that, what will show up. Now, there's certain traits of a spiritual warrior that we want to talk about today, and I want you to think, where am I on that? Sorry, Art. Where am I on that scale? The first thing for a spiritual warrior is spiritual warriors are mindful. They live in mindfulness. And mindfulness doesn't mean living in your mind. Okay? Not the ego mind, not the human mind, because that gets us in the polarities of right, wrong, good, bad, yes, no, that mind. No, mindfulness is being mindful or aware of where we are, what we're doing, what we're saying, what other people around us are doing and saying, that we're aware and we're fully in the present moment. Our mind, the human mind, is going to take us to the past, and take us to the future, and it's not going to lead us where the mindfulness of the present moment will be. Now, mindfulness is not something that Ernest Holmes talked about a lot. That's really an Eastern tradition word more, but he talked about interior awareness. Don't you like that? Interior awareness. And he explained that we're all on a path of divine unfoldment. That's part of our human journey, the evolution of our mind and our creativity, just the evolution of consciousness. And this divine unfoldment takes our conscious cooperation, our deliberate cooperation with that creative urge. Sometimes we call it the creative spark within us. It takes our cooperation with that and that interior awareness, which he describes as the intercommunication between us and God, that intercommunication, which leads us to our divine self, which leads us to that thinker behind our thoughts, that's our higher self, leads us to that place so we can find answers there. We can see truth there. We can give and share love there. We can let go of that right-wrong thing. Mindfulness leads into compassionate action, and that's the spiritual warrior. Compassionate action. Doesn't that sound good? Compassionate action. So I want us to be thinking about that compassionate action. And okay, that's all I wanted to say there. So I thought I had a great quote from someone about that, but I don't. So maybe I did, but I can't find it. So what keeps us from being mindful? Busyness, definitely. And busyness can be a distraction, keeping us away from fear of something. We live so much in fear of not doing enough, doing too much, of the outside world, of the inside world, of this, that. Don't we? We live in fear of so much. And fear, I don't know if there's more fear in the world right now, because you look at some old times and they're not very happy. There's a lot going on, but I think it's more palpable now and more atmospheric because we have more people and our technology is so good. We don't have to be far away from things. Fear is right in our face. Fear is right there. And so the spiritual warrior learns how to deal with fear. Now, as much as we would like, I don't know about you, but I'd certainly like to be able to control my life and know what's going to happen next and where I'm going and what's up. And wouldn't you, a little bit? Never going to happen. It just doesn't happen. That's not what life's all about. It's all about uncertainty. Pema Chodron, the revered Buddhist nun, talks about uncertainty all the time and how once we can really learn to hold our fear, our uncertainty, and not let it run us, but learn that that's just a beautiful gift of life, that we don't know what's going to happen next. And spiritual warriors, as they enter into this darkness, they don't have a clue what's going to happen next. Flippin' is what I was going to say. A flippin' clue what's going to happen next. They just don't know. But they have the courage to say, okay, I know what I want. I want the light. I want purpose and meaning. And that gives them the courage not to stay away from fear, but to look at it and say, okay, I know you, and I'll put you in your place while I continue on what I know my heart's mission is. What I know. So a spiritual warrior needs to be able to be wise and be able to handle that fear. And they also need to be brave and wise and loving. And as you said so beautifully, Pam, this journey of the darkness is within and without. But it always starts within. The spiritual warrior's journey always starts as a journey within themselves. And it begins with self-knowledge and humility. Who am I? Why am I here? And how do I fit in this bigger picture of life? It's really the self-awareness of, wow, I'm a human being and I'm part of this human family. Why am I here? That's what I'm learning. What gifts do I have to share? And once we get to that place and can kind of settle into being, okay, I'm here, I'm showing up, then comes the authenticity. And really a warrior attitude is the ability to be okay not feeling okay. You know how we always want to feel okay all the time? It's okay not to feel okay. They know that. It's okay not to feel okay. It's okay not to look so good. It's okay not to be liked by everybody. It doesn't feel so good all the time, but it's okay. It's part of the human experience. And when the spiritual warriors, the people that are willing to stand up and know and do their work, when they get to that place of authenticity, they can take their mask off of the perfect warrior, the perfect spiritual being, the perfect this, and say, hey, I'm in this with you. We're in this journey together. And then we can get on the path. Once we've done the work of self-knowledge, humility, we can get into that place of authenticity, be aware of our shadows, our greatnesses, all of us, then the natural outpicturing of that is generosity. That's the natural outpicturing. when we really own ourselves and we learn to be kind and tender with ourselves and all our magnificence and all our frailties, then we can go out and be generous with the world with no expectation in return. It's like when Hafez said, the beautiful 13th century mystic, he said, I can't remember what he said. Oh, I remember what he said. After all this time, the sun never said to the earth, you owe me. Can you imagine what a love like that can do? It can ignite the whole sky. Wow. That's what that'll do. That's what that'll do. So we get wise by looking at ourselves, being really honest with ourselves, owning ourselves, being tender and kind with ourselves, of course. Being tender and kind with ourselves, absolutely. And then becoming brave. Being brave to stand up again, even if you look silly at the first, even if people don't like you at first, but standing up, this is my gift, here I am, what do I have to share, what do I have to do, this is what I know is true. It's having that courage, but we have to have bravery with love. Spiritual warriors have to be lovers. How many of you volunteer? Okay, good. We have to be lovers because you don't hurt the things you love. That's just the truth, right? You don't hurt the things you love. And if you think about it, we're all made of love. There's a beautiful woman I'm going to talk about in a minute, and she does have a quote because I remember this one. She says, all life is created in love, and thus in the depths of every human being lies a good heart. Some have lost their path from this love, so it's up to us to show them the way. It's up to us to show them the way. You know, those beautiful spiritual warriors on our wall, Nelson Mandela, down there in the middle on the bottom, was in prison for 27 years because he took a stand. He was a spiritual warrior for his people. Because when you come from that place of love, when you realize you love yourself enough to be tender and loving with your own self, and then you have a tender heart, because when we're tender and loving with ourselves, our hearts get tender, and then we love people, and we love the world. And when you love things, you don't want to hurt them. And he knew that every person deserved to live with dignity and self-respect. And he said, I feel the chains on my people are the chains on me. Until I do something, I'm not part of the good that's wanting to be present now. He knew that. Martin Luther King, he wrote he gave a speech called The Most Durable Power, because, you know, we say nonviolence. Martin Luther King was very inspired by Dr. Howard Thurman, a beautiful American theologian. And I have a quote from him that I just love, because his whole thing is about being fully alive. Don't ask what the world needs, but ask what makes me most alive. Because what the world needs now is people that are alive, not shut down and cocooned in fear and anger and upset, but fully alive. And he gave a speech called The Most Durable Power. And he said, don't sink into the temptation of becoming bitter. Don't get bitter. That closes your heart down. Don't get bitter. Use the only weapon that makes any sense, and that's the weapon of love. Don't let any person drag you into the feeling of hate, because hate hurts. Don't let anyone do that. Because the most durable power in the world is the power of love. That is the most durable power in the world. Something we can feel and hold and know. The most durable power in the world. We're all created in that love, and it's all in there with us. A spiritual warrior knows that a person's personal goodness can be hidden, but it can never be extinguished. So what makes you feel fully alive? What makes you feel fully alive? That's where you're called to put your focus, your aliveness. Now, on the cover of our Science of Mind magazine is a spiritual warrior. Jane Goodall. And Jane Goodall, what made her fully alive, and she didn't know it at the time because it's a process of waking up, but she felt enlivened by learning about the wild chimpanzees. And she went to Africa from England with basically a notebook and binoculars and her deep desire and passion to learn about humankind's closest relative, the chimpanzee. And that love so lit a fire in her that she spent so much time finding out how to help the chimpanzees, but it grew. She no longer just wanted to help the little chimps. She wanted to help the local people and the environment too. And she still goes around today in her 80s speaking and giving talks and inspiring people to take action, to treat the world well, to do good things. She's an amazing being. And she did that. She started her trek, her spiritual journey, her journey of spiritual warriorhood in 1960. And she's still 60 years later, still doing that same work. So there's someone else I'd like to talk about, and we have a little, I didn't do as good as you, Doug, but I have one picture. So, and that is of Julia Butterfly Hill. And maybe I have it, and maybe I don't. So we'll still talk about her. There she is. On December 10th, 1997, Julia Butterfly Hill climbed up an ancient 1,000-year-old redwood tree that was going to be cut down by Pacific Lumber Company and sold. But she loved that tree. She named it Luna. And she climbed up into that tree as a statement. She held on. She lived there up in the tree for 2 years and 8 days until she was guaranteed that tree was not going to be cut down. Now, she went up, another friend of hers went up in another tree, but he only lasted 3 weeks, and she knew why. Because they were both filled with so much anger for what was happening. And she knew if she didn't deal with that anger, it would take her down. So she said, if I don't deal with the anger in me, I'm feeding the violence of which I'm so against. And so what did she do? She prayed. She prayed and prayed and prayed. And she said, God, use me as a vessel. Please teach me, tell me, I want to know what's going on here. And she said she prayed and prayed for this opening and awareness, and all of a sudden she felt consumed by love. And she realized that she had tapped into the love of the earth, the love of creation. And she said something kind of similar to what Hafez said. She said, creation continues to give and give and give us all its beauty, all its wonder, no matter how we treat it, no matter how insensitive we might be. It keeps giving us all it has, and that is true love. She went on to say to each and every one of us that we live in a world that's full of problems, but we are the solution to those problems. She said, every day I wake up, and every day I woke up in that tree and said, how can I make this world a better place? Isn't that a message for a spiritual warrior? How simple is that? Spiritual, we don't have to climb trees, climb mountains, be in prison for 27 years, lead huge marches, but we have a responsibility to ask every day, what makes me feel alive, and how can I share that with the world? Can you imagine if all of us got into that vibrancy of life, what we could create? That's the gift we've been given. So that's my prayer, and I'm going to invite us just to close for just a moment right now. If we can just truly know together that beauty, that magnanimous energy of love is truly all there is. We know this power and presence of God, Creator, in creative intelligence, just divine unfoldment through us, is love. It's all love wanting to be expressed in, through, and as us. That's what this world is all about. That's why we are here. We are in a process of learning and growing to be gentle and kind with ourselves through all this messy process of awakening, and to be fully aware that we can change our minds and hearts any moment, to be in alignment with that which is right and good and true. The truth I know for each one of us is that we are here on purpose. We are here by divine design. We are here to be the hands, the feet, the heart, the mouth, the eyes, the ears, the love of God. That's why we're here. That's why we're together. We are here to ignite the spirit within us, that creative urge, that flame, that spark of goodness, and allow that to be the energy and essence we bring to this world. Yes, we can break down and cry and be sad and unhappy, but our job is to get up and to keep on keeping on when we know what makes us alive, and allow that aliveness to be the way shower for others. Just think and know that power is in us now. As we feed it, breathe into it, hold it gently and tenderly, it expands and lights our whole world and contributes to the light of all those around us. How good it is to be part of that good. We say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you for being part of my good. I bless you all. Thank you.